Okay. Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Brayan Kунс, and I'm a researcher at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, SLU. I'm a geographer and social scientist who studies, among other things, Ukrainian agriculture and environment. I also present Natalia Kulatska, who is a researcher in aquatic ecology at SLU. So I'll be moderating in person, and Natalia will be moderating the online component of this event. So I want to introduce our panelists and say brief words about our discussion today. First, let me say that this session is convened by the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, the National University of Kyiv-Mogila Academy in Ukraine, and the Ukraine Nature Conservation Group. And this session is financed by the Swedish Institute and SLU Global. So today we'll be talking about the Kakhovka Reservoir in southern Ukraine, which was one of the largest artificial reservoirs in Europe. The dam creating this reservoir was destroyed on June 6, 2023, last year, in what was a massive and tragic event. So, and I just show briefly in these slides. So here you see the reservoir before the destruction of the dam, and here you see it after the destruction of the dam. And so I just stress what a unique catastrophe this was, certainly in the 21st century. So dams are being removed more and more in different places, or there's at least more discussion about it. And water is, of course, a casualty of war. But it's hard to find an analogous case or comparison with what happened in southern Ukraine last June. So we will hear today about the environmental consequences of this tragedy from 4 Ukrainian experts that are here today. The reservoir was created in the 1950s when the Kakhovka hydroelectric dam was built. The lake or sea that was created was massive. Its surface area was 2,155 square kilometers. And it was important, as we will hear, for diverse water users from agriculture to industry and not least households. It was the central node in the water system for southern Ukraine. So we will mostly discuss the consequences of the destruction of the dam and the reservoir, but we will also touch on the future of the reservoir. So we have 4 experts who will discuss different aspects of this catastrophe. And I will present the experts now, but they will come up one by one to make their presentations. So first, we have Oksana Ghulayeva. Oksana is head of unit of environmental support for project implementation at Ukr-Hydroenergo. Ukr-Hydroenergo is a state company that is the principal manager of the dams in the Dnipro cascade of dams. And Oksana will discuss water needs and management of the Kakhovka Reservoir. And Oksana will discuss water needs and management of the Kakhovka Reservoir before the dam was destroyed. This is important information to help with the question of mitigation of the damage. So Oksana will present in Ukrainian, but her slides are in English, and there is the Interprefy app that you can use for interpretation, and you have the Interprefy token there. And then we have Vіктор Карамушка, head of Department of Environmental Studies at National University of Kyiv-Mogila Academy. Vіктор is a biologist with a long experience investigating the environmental impact of human activities. Also, not unimportant, Vіктор grew up in sight of the reservoir. Vіктор will discuss the immediate consequences of the destruction of the dam, both below and above the dam, and Vіктor will present in English. Then third, we have Галина Мінічева, the director of the Institute of Marine Biology of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. Галina is a marine biologist specializing in the marine ecosystems of the Black Sea, and she will discuss how the massive flooding event has impacted the Black Sea. Галina will present in Ukrainian, but her slides are in English. And finally, we have Anna Kuzemko, leading research at the MG Холодний Institute of Botany of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. Anna is also here representing the Ukraine Nature Conservation Group, a civil society organization that advocates for nature preservation. Anna will discuss in English the ecosystems and habitats that are developing in the bed of the reservoir today. Before we hear these presentations, however, we will hear a short welcome video from Margot Wallström, who perhaps needs no introduction here in Sweden, but she's the former Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Sweden. But for this context, she is also co-chair of the high-level working group on the environmental consequences of the war in Ukraine. So if we could cue up that video now.
Dear friends, thank you very much for inviting me. I of course wish that I was there in person with you, but I'm also happy that this is an alternative. And first of all, it has been such a privilege and meaningful task for over a year now to co-chair the International Working Group on the environmental consequences of Russia's war on Ukraine. Our work has been threefold: on assessment of the damage, on accountability to make the perpetrator pay, and on action to rebuild and restore. It has been about dams and dolphins, oil and soil, water and waste, foods and woods, mines and magnificent nature. We presented our compact to the President of Ukraine in February this year with deeper insights, admiration and respect for the Ukrainian people. And the result is for them and their future. But Ukraine is also now taking on a pioneering role in making sure that the environment is no longer a silent victim of war, that methods and standards to measure environmental impact will be developed, that justice and reparations come about, and that reconstruction means building back better and greener. Dear friends, you are experts in the field of water and the environment. You know that the environment is not an abstract notion. It is truly about survival. The blowing up of the Kakhovka Dam on June 6th in 2023 illustrated that. And from then on, it has been named ecocide, also since Ukrainian law contained that concept. The devastation was enormous. The consequences will be felt for decades and affect not only Ukraine. Our working group has also dealt with this issue in our recommendations. For example, that the ICC prosecutor is encouraged to consider the Kakhovka Dam collapse for prosecution within the existing scope of the Rome Statute, Article 8. That the ICC state parties should consider incorporating ecocide as a core international crime within the Rome Statute. And that the international community should establish an international mechanism for reparation for damage, loss or injury resulting from Russia's internationally wrongful acts in or against Ukraine. All of our 50 recommendations are doable, and the working group will now focus on the implementation. We are grateful and impressed by the serious planning in different ministries, institutions, and civil society, of course. But the international community also can and has to help as well with expertise, capacity building, and the very basic task of inspections, reporting, and follow-up. The close cooperation between Ukrainian and Swedish universities must not be underestimated. And I see such an important role for this both now and in the future. And to end, I want to say thank you. I wish you success with your deliberations with the same few lines that I used at the event where I met Brаян Kунс, who invited me here. Compassion and tolerance can heal and unite. Knowledge and science make us better and bright. Your actions can change so many things, so please continue to work for the environment and peace. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. We want to thank Margaret Wallstam for highlighting how important focusing on the environment is in these times of war. Okay, now we'll go to the presentations. As I said, our panelists will each present a short presentation in English or Ukrainian. We will maybe have time for 1 or 2 questions of clarification after each presentation, but there will be some time for question and answers after all the presentations. So without further ado, then I leave over to Оксана Гуляєва, and I'll just move out of the way here. So, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Доброго дня. Я представляю презентацію про роль Каховського водосховища у довоєнний період. Каховське водосховище було 6-ю сходинкою Дніпровського каскаду і належало до найбільших водойм України за об'ємом. Його повна місткість становили 18,2 кілометра кубічних, площа дзеркала перевищувала 2000 кілометрів квадратних, довжина водосховища сягала 230 кілометрів, з максимальною шириною 25 кілометрів і з максимальними глибинами до 36 метрів. Його першочерговим завданням у довоєнний період це було водопостачання населених пунктів і задоволення комунальних і господарських проблем Південно-Східного регіону України. Питним водопостачанням забезпечувалися території Дніпропетровської, Миколаївської, Запорізької та Херсонської областей. Загальна чисельність регіону, яка забезпечувалась з водою з Каховського водосховища, перевищувала 2 мільйона людей. До 2014 року із водосховища здійснювалась подача води до Автономної Республіки Крим. Водою з Каховського водосховища забезпечувалось 3 найбільших територіально-промислових комплекси з гірнично-добувних, залізнорудних та металургійних підприємств. Об'єм води, яка подавалася на водопостачання, коливалася від 1 до 4 кілометрів кубічних на рік, з максимальними витратами води 150 метрів кубічних на секунду. Найбільша потреба в воді була, звичайно, в літньо-осінній період. Другим завданням Каховського водосховища було забезпечення потреб води для зрошення. Об'єм води, який подавався для зрошення, сягав від 2 до 6 кілометрів кубічних на рік з максимальними витратами до 600 метрів кубічних на секунду. Найбільша потреба спостерігалась влітку. Каховське водосховище також відігравало велику роль для енергетики, перш за все, як джерелом постачання води для Запорізької атомної електростанції і Запорізької теплоелектростанції. Водойма використовувалась для забезпечення роботи 2 гідровузлів – це Дніпровського гідровузла і Зруйнованого Каховського гідровузла. Гідроенергетика в даному регіоні відігравала вирішальну роль для розвитку відновлювальних джерел енергії, вітрових та сонячних електростанцій. Перш за все, як маневрова потужність і забезпечуючи стабільність роботи енергосистеми України. Каховське водосховище було також і важливою транспортною водною артерією. За допомогою водного транспорту здійснювалося перевезення нафтопродуктів, будівельних матеріалів, зерна, залізної руди. Окрім того, водосховище належало до рибогосподарських водойм загального державного значення, що давало можливість використовувати це водосховище для вилову риби. Одне із самих важливих також завдань водосховища і функцій було це забезпечення екологічного стану понизя Дніпра. і підтримки нормальних умов для водно-болотних угідь міжнародного значення. І запобігало також засоленню пониззя і проникненню соленого клина в річку. Граничною величиною екологічної витрати було визначено кількість біля 500 метрів кубічних на секунду. Як ви бачите, Каховське водосховище – це комплексна водойма, але першочерговим завданням все-таки було забезпечення, пріоритетом було забезпечення водою населення та забезпечення екологічними витратами. А вже потім забезпечувались потреби промисловості, гідроенергетики, сільського господарства, водного транспорту та рибного господарства. Як же ж оцінити оцю важливість Каховського водосховища кількісно? З водогосподарської практики це зазвичай можна зробити 3 характеристиками. Це можливість забезпечення певних рівнів води для можливості безперебійної роботи водозаборів, забезпечення певних об'ємів води, які давали можливість забезпечувати потреби людей, промисловості, а також забезпечення екологічних норм. І за допомогою цих об'ємів води забезпечувати миттєві витрати. Ми зробили оцінку, порівнюючи, скільки природної витрати води дає Дніпро і скільки у довоєнний період витрачали воду для забезпечення потреб. І ми виявили, що оця зона – це зона дефіциту, яка давала можливість Каховське водосховище його покривати. Тому можна зробити висновок, що Каховське водосховище відігравало дуже колосально велике значення для України. І як для забезпечення певних витрат води, так і забезпечення певних витрат і забезпечення об'ємом води, яке було край необхідним для розвитку регіону. Дякую. Thank you very much.
Super. So there's not many people here. We can probably be a little bit more informal. I wanted to say, there will be a chance to ask questions at the end, as I've said. But is there any quick question now for like clarification or, if not, we'll go to the next speaker, which is.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
What is the total recharge area of the dam? Please wait for the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I didn't catch Michal Brinčić from Slovenia, Ljubljana. What is the total recharge area of the dam? How many? And what is the area contributing to the dam? Total area. How much water is drained? What is the area which drains to the dam?
Дякую за запитання. Вода до Каховського водосховища забезпечувалася всією, основне відсоток, 95% води надходило з верхнього каскаду Дніпровського, який збирає воду з верхньої і середньої течії. Тобто практично це вся вода Дніпровська надходила в останню сходинку цього каскаду. Бокової приточності практично до самого водосховища немає. Це вся Дніпровська вода, вона потрапляла в Каховське водосховище і тоді вже в понизі Дніпра. Площу так на пам'ять не скажу, зараз можу уточнити і тоді відповім вам на питання.
Okay. Okay, I think we'll go to the next speaker, and if there's more questions about this, then we can address it in the question and answer. So I ask Victor to please come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Viktor Karamushka. I'm glad to be here, and I thank you very much for joining our session. My colleague explained the key characteristic of Kakhovka Reservoir, and I would like to talk what's happened immediately after blown up of Kakhovka Dam and Kakhovka Power Station. So I would start that from data related to remote monitoring, which showed that from the spring of 2023, water began to accumulate in the reservoir. At the beginning of June, the water level in the Kakhovka Reservoir was 70.5 meters, the highest in the last 30 years. And the accumulation of water was regulated by the Kakhovka hydraulic system, which was under control of Russia. I would say that Russian forces occupied this territory since very beginning of invasion. It happened after 24th of February 2022. And the explosion of Kakhovka Dam happened on June 6, actually on Russian language day proclaimed by United Nations. And it was the day after United Nations World Environmental Day, and the day before the United Nations World Food Safety Day. So Russia has said its word. After that, the territories below the Kakhovka Dam were flooded, and the reservoir itself above the dam was drained. The maximum flooded area was 620 square kilometers, including areas of settlements, industrial facilities, infrastructure, agricultural land, protected areas, water bodies, forest, and so on. The maximum level of flooding was observed on June 8, and after that, the water began to recede. The consequences of this tragedy were different from the areas above and below the dam. The most tragic were the losses of human life. According to official data of Ukrainian government, 33 citizens died and over 40 persons were missing on the territory controlled by Ukraine. Russia has said 59 people drowned in the territory under Russian control, but an exact figure for the dead may never be known. The health workers estimate 200 to 300 people drowned in Oleshki town only, but flooded were many towns below. More than 50,000 residential buildings were affected in the flooded territory, and more than 11,000 of them were destroyed totally. A significant number of economic and infrastructure buildings were also damaged. Flooding of the territories caused heavy flooding and pollution of the aquatic environment, affected the freshwater ecosystems of the Dnipro and the marine ecosystem of the Black Sea. The sources of chemical and organic pollution, so-called hotspots, included gas stations, car repair shops, warehouses of chemical and organic fertilizers and agrochemicals, sewage treatment plants, livestock farms and places where animals are kept in private households, silage pits, thousands of latrines, cemeteries, etc., etc., etc. And all this pollution went into the Black Sea. At the same time, the Kakhovka Reservoir was being dewatered, drained. The reservoir practically ceased to exist on June 18 to 20 in 2022. and satellite photos on the right shows process of dehydration which occurred around the village of Nizhny Rogachik, where I was born and grew up. The reservoir was a source of water for many settlements in the Kherson, Zaporizhia, and Dnipropetrovsk regions. My colleague informed that residents of Kryvyi Rih, Marganets, Pokrovsk, Nikopol, and other towns and cities faced problems with water supply immediately after disasters. 700,000 Ukrainians lost direct access to drinking water. As a result of the destructions of Kakhovka Dam and a sharp drop of the water level in the Kakhovka Reservoir, a significant number of dead fish was observed on the bed of the reservoir. In fact, the fish stocks of the reservoir were destroyed. Most of spawning grounds were lost, and fishing as a sector of local economy in this region became impossible. A part of this, agriculture in southern Ukraine was possibly due to irrigation. 5,000 plus 840 square kilometers of land used water from Kakhovka Reservoir. The breach of the dam left 94% of irrigation systems in Kherson without water sources, 74% in Zaporizhia region, and 30% in Dnipropetrovsk regions. And for comparison, I just cited the areas of such countries like Andorra, Malta, and Liechtenstein. And you see that area of irrigation in Kherson Oblast exceeded these areas of these countries. And water supply to Crimean Peninsula became impossible as well. The breach of the Kakhovka Dam directly affected the national parks which located on the territory and surroundings of Low Dnipro River and Kakhovka Reservoir. Its national parks, National Park Veliki Lug, Kamenska Sich, and Low Dnipro. The Low Dnipro National Parks was completely flooded, and we don't know exactly what is going on there and how it's restored, because the access to this area is not possible now. National parks Oleshki, Sens, Biloberezhye, Sviatoslava, and many other protected areas were affected indirectly. I presented the very short data, but I want to say that each of these slides is a base for full-fledged presentation. Summarizing my presentation, I would like to say that we lost the core of the Kakhovka hydroelectric systems and the basis for filling the Kakhovka Reservoir. We lost a significant contribution to the energy system in southern Ukraine. We lost a source of drinking water supply for a large populations of the southern Ukraine. We lost the basis of water supply in the arid areas and feeding the irrigation complex in southern Ukraine. We lost a source of water supply to industrial complex in the region. We lost the basis for fisheries in the region, and we lost great recreational value and integrity of protected areas and biodiversity. Regretfully, to my deep regret, today the front line runs in this region, and we cannot begin the restoration of natural areas, residential and industrial infrastructure. And the main challenge of Ukraine is to overcome the war and its consequences, and after that, ensure the green recovery of natural territories and the anthropogenic environment to an ecologically acceptable state. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Does anyone have a quick question for Victor, clarification, or there'll be a chance to ask questions later, of course. All right, then we go next to the next presenter, Галина Мінічева. here you have.
Hi everybody. I have pleasure and possibility to present your attention information about consequences of destroyed Kakhovka reservoirs on the northwest part of the Black Sea. The Institute of Marine Biology, the National Academy of Science, this is the oldest Ukrainian scientific institute, then studies the fundamental patterns of the functioning marine ecosystem. Since the beginning of the war, Russia aggression against Ukraine, our institute has been conducted research to assessment the impact of war on the marine ecosystem. Of course, when the Kakhovka tragedy occurred, we began monitoring the situation immediately after a few hours. We began beginning the June 6th. The Black Sea is a semi-closed European sea, which is located south of the Ukraine. The peculiarity of Ukrainian national waters is that most of them are located in the shallow shelf, and which receive three largest European rivers, Danube, Dniester, and Dnieper. This is most productivity and sensitivity part of the Black Sea. The northwest part of the Black Sea is the pulse in which we can monitoring the health of whole Black Sea ecosystem. Kakhovka Dams is located only 100 kilometers from the Black Sea. This is a very short distance from strong interaction between the freshwater and marine system. As you know, the Kakhovka Dam was destroyed in June 2023. 2 days later, the fresh and polluted water of the Kakhovka Reservoir reached the sea coast. After 4 days, the salinity of the sea has decreased almost 3 times. In the Black Sea came about 14 square kilometers of polluted surface water with 700 tons of dissolved inorganic phosphorus and more than 1,000 tons of dissolved organic nitrogen. The water also contained the large amount of the hazardous substances, including fertilizers, pesticides, and feces. The quality of marine environment has become significantly worse. The maximum permissible concentration of ammonium nitrogen, but you know what nitrogen reflected the content in wastewater, have been exceeding 14 times. And the concentration of suspended matter has exceeded the average regional level by 100 times. Acute lethal toxicity has been recorded in the marine ecosystem for the first time in the many years investigation. Usually, acute toxicity can be recorded in the semi-closed water body, but never has been recorded in the open sea coast. Different freshwater organisms, plants, animals, vertebrates, and invertebrates that entered in the marine environment died. And vice versa, the marine organism suffered from the freshwater, especially the attachment hydrobionts, which could not live from dangerous zone. Especially suffered, Especially suffered the population of commercial mollusk mussels, Mytilus gallia provincialis. They stayed in the fresh water for more than a week. In result, the 100 million individuals of mussels also died. This is a big loss for the biological resources of the Black Sea. Naturally, blue-green algae began to bloom the sea. Their concentration increased 2,000 times. Why did this happen? No, because the bloom of the phytoplankton is like the fire that burning dissolved organic matter. Nature has no another way to remove that organic from the aquatic environment. One month later, after fresh water with high concentration of phosphorus and nitrogen enters the sea, the concentration of chlorophyll A in the northwest part of the Black Sea reached 218%. Compare with regional level. As you know, the concentration of chlorophyll A very closely related with the phytoplankton bloom. 3 months late, you can see in the slide, this indicators return the regional level. This is very important and very interesting fact because they reflect the value of assimilation possibility of the ecosystem northwest part. That is happening because the phytoplankton and other biological communities, plankton and benthic communities, have assimilated the dissolved nutrients. Why? Sorry, I can. Okay, sorry. The marine ecosystem has done a very important work in the first 3 months as large biological assimilation machine for the consequences of the Kakhovka disasters. But as a result, the marine ecosystem has been scarce. These scares are chronic consequences. The most dangerous is this deposition of pollution which coming from the Kakhovka Reservoir in the bottom sediments of the Black Sea. These consequences will have a long-term impact of the whole life of the marine ecosystem. During a strong storm, polluted will again come in the aquatic environment. In next year, in 2024, we recognize the change in the structure functional organization of the biological community, increase the number of the opportunistic organisms and new invaders. Opportunistic organisms, that is small, short life cycle hydrobionts, that is indicators of not good ecological status. Invaders can destroy the nature structure of biological community and is some kind of biological pollution. Thus, the Kakhovka tragedy, the Black Sea became a rescuer, which that suffered itself, unfortunately. The northwest part became the buffer zone that protected the rest part of the Black Sea. The sea Kakhovka ecological disaster is a great example of what can happen with uncivilization human behavior. And Russia demonstrates such behavior to the whole world. I want possibility to say to our colleagues and Sweden colleagues and friends, we invite us here for presented this situation and listen about problem which now have Ukraine. Thank you very much for attention.
Is there a question of clarification for Galina? If not, there'll be time at the end. Okay, no? Good. Anna?
Hello, everyone. My colleagues already already informed you about consequences of Kakhovka Dam destruction for the territories lower stream from the dam, which was real ecological and humanitarian catastrophe. And Victor also mentioned consequences for territory upstream from the dam, which is a real territory of former Kakhovka Reservoir. And I would like to go in more detail and to present you my own impression from the field trips on the territory of former reservoir. This territory usually mentioned in the context of some predictions that it will be desert, it will be a source of poisonous dust storms or phyto-invasions, and we decided to check all these hypotheses, and we organized the first field trip to this territory 3 weeks after the detonation of the dam in June last year. And we revisited this territory after 3.5 months in October last year, but this our trip was suddenly interrupted because our group was revealed by Russian drones and shelled by Russian mortars. So for safety reasons, we decided to move our study polygon to the northern part of the former reservoir. So our 2 first visits were to territory of Kamenska Sich National Park in Kherson region, and we decided to move our study polygon to Zaporizhzhia region. And we visited this territory in May this year. And during our first visit to the bottom, we were able to observe water release from the bottom, and all bottom was covered with very dense, tiny, small seedlings of some plant. At that time, it was not fully clear for which species they belong. And during our second trip, our floodplain forest expert identified 2 species there. It's pure Salix alba and hybrid species Salix rubens, which is a hybrid of Salix alba and Salix fragilis, 2 willow species. And we were, during our second trip, we were amazed how drastically the landscape changed, because almost all bottom was covered by young thickets of willow trees. And the growth of these willow trees was extremely fast, from almost 0 in June last year to average 2 meters in October last year, and 3 meters in May this year, with the maximum measured 4 meters 70 centimeters. So in average it was more than 1 centimeters per day. We also, already at that time, we realized that probably willow thickets is the main habitat type there, but we also studied other habitat types like sparse vegetation at shells and muddy deposits, and also marshy vegetation. During our third trip, our third visit to the former reservoir, we confirmed the hypothesis that the main habitat type there is willow thickets. And also we studied their poplar thickets and sandy sediments. And then we used our field data to analyze this by remote sensing technique together with our GIS experts. And here you can see the picture which show a dynamic of water and closed vegetation covered areas based on water and NDVI indices. And also we created a habitat map based on our training data from the studied polygons, and also we created some R script which allow us to identify habitat types. So here you can see situation in October last year and May this year. And this is our studied polygons, zoomed. And comparison of these two maps shows very clear trends that willow thickets increasing their areas, all other habitat types decreasing, and of course areas covered by running and standing water in spring was much bigger than it was in autumn. So for now we have a very young, huge floodplain forest. Probably this is the biggest such forest even in Europe, not only in Ukraine. This habitat type is under protection of Berne Convention and Habitat Directive, and already now it provides a lot of ecosystem services, but future of this forest is still unclear. But it's definitely clear that in this tragic way you have got the chance to restore their natural and historical heritage at this territory. And I believe very much that, that we, all of us, we will not waste this chance. And now I would like to acknowledge all people who were involved in data sampling, data analysis, and also two NGOs, Ukrainian Nature Conservation Group and charitable organization Environment People Law, who supported our research. And I'm extremely grateful to Armed Forces of Ukraine because thanks to them, these fantastic people, we are still alive and able to do science, and all our partners for their support. And also all of you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. Is there any quick question or clarification for Anna? Okay, if not, then we'll go to the question and answer session, and I think I'll start us off. I have a number of questions, but obviously I want to give people a chance in the room also to ask questions. So my first question is, the government of Ukraine has indicated that it wants to rebuild the dam. What are the current plans for the future of the reservoir? Right now, Victor, you mentioned, others mentioned, there's ongoing fighting, there's ongoing war. This is only something that can be discussed at this point. But what is the thinking right now, officially, for the future of the reservoir?
I'm not sure that I can give clear answers, because too many uncertainties in this situation we observe. And first of all, the most important and most hindering issue, it's Kakhovka Reservoir. Currently, in fact, it's a front line between Ukrainian and Russian forces. And before the occupation of this area, we are not capable to do anything. Not only to do, but we will analyze, evaluate situation after the occupation, and after that probably we will make right decision, because we have to consider how many people will come back, because too many people, millions of people displaced from that area. So industrial enterprises to great extent deteriorated. So we have to understand what's going on, and after that to make correct, right decision. But in any case, we observe very interesting phenomena of, we've been talking in the session before this about nature-based decisions. So nature decided for us what to do. And I always remember Barry Commoner, which said, nature knows better. Government already approved a decision about reconstruction, rebuilding dam. And it's really important, because even in the case if we will not reconstruct in full capacity Kakhovka Dam, in any case we have to do anything similar, because we have to provide support for Dnipro hydropower station, which is located in Zaporizhia region. Because without this it's not possible to fully function Dnipro station, which is deteriorated, targeted as well at this moment. So we need peace, we need deoccupation, we need free Ukraine, and then we will make decision which would be relevant and important for us.
Okay. Does anyone else want to add anything? Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to add that really when it was first anniversary of the destruction, it was official information that our government willing to restore the dam. Maybe partly, maybe as it was before, but just after this strategy, it was a lot of discussion in civil society, in scientific society, and it was usually two diametrally opposite opinions that people from especially agrarian sector, energetical sector, they are in favor to restoration of the dam, and many ecologists are against, and they propose to keep everything as it is and to allow nature to restore. And now, after the year, I realize that we have some, at least, attempt for normal dialogue, normal discussion between these two opposite opinions. Some people change their original opinion on this topic, and so now I just observe this consolidation and normal dialogue about this very difficult issue.
Thank you. May I add something?
Yes, yes.
For constructive discussions, we need arguments and we need real data. And we have to think, we have to remember that before war, Kakhovka Reservoir supplied water for 3 million people in the region. The people were involved in agricultural sector, in energy sector, in transport, in industrial sector. So we have to think how to provide water for these sectors, but it will depend on how many people will be involved after the war. And this is a very important issue. So I believe, and my feeling is that decision will be something in between these points of view.
Okay, excellent. Because that sets up a question I wanted to ask. So on the one hand, we have a preliminary decision, to restore the dam. And on the other hand, it still seems, I mean, this is something that will happen in the future in any case, and there's some discussion, people are changing their minds. You, Victor, you said there was a need for real data. What questions would need to be answered before, let's say there's a final solution about the reservoir. Let's say, I mean, there needs to be peace, there needs to be deoccupation, but what, say, scientific questions would need to be answered? A question for everyone.
We have to complete needs assessment, and this is core issue.
Okay. Does anyone else have?
Okay.
Yeah.
If we discuss about this question, reconstruction or not reconstruction, I can say my vision of view, but only from side of the marine ecologist. The reservoir itself, not the Kakhovka Reservoir, have a very important role, ecological role, because that is the place with accumulation the contaminants which come in the marine sea. In this side, of course, when we have some reservoirs in the flow river, we protected the marine ecosystem. But I am absolutely sure, and again, what say my colleagues, because this is absolutely comprehensive issue and should be decided only with comparing the position of economic and energy and the so on, but we should be not forget about ecological component of this problem. And also very important what you say about how much people will be living in this territory after the war. This is main question, and then we coming together and decide this question using the holistic approach, which amounts the different position for decide this question.
Okay, thank you. Anna, you wanted to, yes.
Yes, I would like to add that I set my own question in this regard. So I'm interested how profitable will be restoration the dam as it was before, 70 years ago. So second question, how profitable will be partly restoration of the dam with alternative option? And third question, how profitable will be solution of all this socio-economical problem by alternative energetics, maybe some also agricultural techniques with some innovations, because now we are not not in the situation as it was 70 years ago when the dam was the reservoir was created. And the fourth question, what is the values of all these ecosystem services which the floodplain ecosystem, normal restored floodplain ecosystem can provide? So this is what I'm interested in this regard.
Okay. Thank you. Oksana, do you want to add to this, or?
Я ще хотіла би відповісти на перше питання, яке було задано на рахунок площі водозбору. Площа водозбору складала більше 500 тисяч кілометрів квадратних. Але мені здається, важлива не скільки ця цифра, а скільки розуміння, скільки води ця територія давала. Об'єм стоку Дніпра в гирлі складає в середньому десь 50 зараз кілометрів кубічних. Але в посушливі роки ця цифра могла знижуватись до 20. І якщо 20 кілометрів кубічних давало Дніпро, а об'єм водосховища складав 18 кілометрів кубічних, можна зрозуміти, яку колосальну роль воно виконувало як джерело прісної води. На рахунок оцінок, так, як еколог і як представник компанії гідроенергетичної, ми розуміємо, що все треба оцінювати. І як уже сказав Віктор Іванович, що перше це нам треба вигнати окупанта і, скажімо так, вернути свої землі. А друге, що з точки зору гідроенергетики важливо, це побачити і зафіксувати місце злочину. Тому тимчасові ті споруди, які зафіксовані навіть в рішенні уряду України про те, що нам потрібно тимчасові споруди, це перш за все ще для того, щоб зафіксувати злочин, який був скоєний Російською Федерацією. І звичайно, якщо буде доступ до території, це нові дані про стан довкілля, який скаже нам, які альтернативні варіанти, які взагалі варіанти у нас можливі по відновленню греблі і по відновленню водосховища. Дякую.
Okay. Thank you. And so I'll just ask one final question for now, and that is, how are the water needs of people who are there now being met?
If you are talking about people who are still living in that region, yeah. So let's say coastal settlements, and not only coastal settlements, right after disaster, I don't know, in a week or two, local administration, it's military administration because we have specific regulations in the country, organized supply water to local people, just delivered by transportation water. And in parallel, they built new water intake facilities from areas which it could possible. And very active process is drilling wells from using underground water. But frankly speaking, it's still very difficult. I have insider information from my village. So we had wells as deep as 37 meters, and after collapse of reservoir, water disappeared from these wells. So the only one or two wells in the village which much deeper, 47 or 50, over 50 meters, got water. So people in village, actually village was quite large, but only 60 persons are living there. They got water from these two wells. But this situation relates to area which under occupation, under control of Russian Federation. On other part, situation in a little bit better. So problem of water supply decided as urgent measures, but it's not sustainable system of water supply currently.
Okay. Right. Does anyone here have any questions? Super.
Victor, going on, well, first of all, my heart goes out to all of you.
Can you please say who you are?
My heart's breaking. I'm Dwayne Roth, okay. From Kansas.
Okay. Super.
And so, Victor, on the territory of Andorra, Malta, and Liechtenstein, as you spoke about the village had to drill their wells deeper, the farming community that had all the center pivot irrigation, the irrigation circles, I'm sure a lot of those were dependent on groundwater. So to bring that region back, the agriculture that was before, the reservoir had a tremendous recharge effect for all that groundwater, for all those irrigated circles. I'm assuming if the irrigated circles started up, that depletion would be greater and a lot less recharge since the reservoir is gone, is my question.
Is there any irrigation right now?
No.
It's in the occupied portion?
No irrigation.
Okay.
No water.
Okay.
I would like to add also, if we are talking about territories Especially on left bank they are occupied, and also on right bank these agricultural lands are mined, and also they are contaminated with a lot of chemicals from explosions. So now they are not usable for agriculture.
Main territories, because some areas are still under exploitation.
Yes, but of course, main proportion it's not usable.
Thank you. So I'm Sara Gräslund with the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. And thanks a lot for very interesting presentations. And I wanted to ask a bit about the possibilities to prosecute for what has happened, and to what extent you think that the monitoring that you do in terms of monitoring changes in the environment, that it can be used within the process of prosecuting the Russians for what has happened. And also if you could comment a little bit on the future work of environmental monitoring, if you see that as an important part of following the process going forward.
Can I start? It's a very interesting question. We already mentioned ecocide here, and our group, we analyzed the definition of ecocide in Ukrainian crime code and also in Rome statutes, and we elaborated 7 criteria of ecocide. Mainly they are numerical criteria, and also how to distinguish ecocide from ecological crimes. And this case of Kakhovka case, it's definitely, it fit all the criteria of ecocide. So we are working with the environmental lawyers from international charitable organization Ecology People Law, and they are working on preparation cases for international courts. So it's briefly about this question, and also about future monitoring. We hope to monitor the situation with the habitats of former Kakhovka Reservoir, like vegetation science, so we have our own interest in this area, and also we hope that after liberation of left bank and the main territory who suffered from the flooding, we are able to do some research here, but now, as Victor already mentioned, these territories are inaccessible for normal scientific research. But we used this remote sensing technique very actively in this, for this purpose.
I may add something to this. So right after incident happened, General Prosecutor's Office started investigations of this situation, and it was created very, very strong investigation group. And on 10th of June, on 6th of June happened this incident. On 10th of June, representatives of International Court, Criminal Court, visited already Kherson. I was included in this group and convoying these persons as an environmental consultant. So the problem consists of 2 parts. One is non-well-developed legislation. Even national legislation is not so strong to apply for this crime. Second part, it's not easy to combine arguments, dokazy, to evidences, proof, which will comply with all requirements of international legislation, International Court of Justice. But work is going on, and I'm included in a group which is working with Kakhovka incident at the General Prosecutor's Office, and it's already more than 1 year happened, and we still are working. We still do not have enough proof, enough materials which will be used for final application for Court of Justice.
I also add information about the working which then coming in the office prosecute. The marine biologists fixed the situation after the death of the resources in the coast line. And that this report, official report, we send to the office prosecutor, and in the future we hope what this, we calculate the special data, information about the lost resources, and this is fact data which will be in the future using for the for situation what is damage will be not only the place where is Kakhovka Reservoir, but in the marine ecosystem which also suffered from this situation.
Okay. Good, good. Thank you. Is there any other question here? Okay. If you can say who you are. And...
Absolutely. Well, thank you all. Darren Rudnick, Kansas State University. Quick question. So it sounds like there's a lot of conversations on whether or not to reconstruct the dam. Curious on some countries that also border the Black Sea, what are their thoughts as you guys consider whether or not to reconstruct?
Why not to reconstruct?
No, have...
No to що не...
No.
I wouldn't say
the first impact will receive the northwest part, the real national water of the Ukraine. The impact from the Kakhovka Reservoir coming before the boundary between the Romanian and Ukraine. This was a very dangerous part, and I think what now is Black Sea country, I think is not decision about the question what restoration Kakhovka, because the first acute take the Ukrainian national waters. And I'm sorry. And now is very dangerous situation within the Black Sea Commission, because all Black Sea countries very long time have communication and decide all ecological question connection, the assessment the whole Black Sea ecosystem. But now Russia is realize this process, and now we have possibility change information between others Black Sea countries, because Russia and also in the information field also stopped this process. And now it's very difficult to say about which reaction in Black Sea country, because we haven't now this place for change information. Again, the consequences of position Russia in the different institution, international institution, such as the Black Sea Commission.
Okay. Thank you, Helena. So while we're talking about the Black Sea, I wanted to ask you, Helena, how long will we see consequences in the Black Sea of this catastrophe? And also, if you could comment on, we've talked about, there is this discussion, rebuild the dam or not rebuild the dam. How will these different options, how might they affect the Black Sea, the ecosystems? And
As I say today, what impact destruction of Kakhovka Dam of the marine ecosystem have some phase. The first phase, equal phase, enough very shortly, enough 3 months. But now with assessment, a chronic phase. This is a more deeper and more important for marine ecosystem, because this is connected with deposition, the pollution, with very long change the structure of biological community. And now we have prognosing about decade years and maybe more, because this is very long process and connected with nutrients link and so much process which coming in the structure of marine ecosystem.
Okay. Okay. And what about the different options that for?
I say what the position of marine ecology. We waiting what reconstruction will be reconstruction the Kakhovka Dam, but that is also a very interesting question, because the ecological status class of marine ecosystem, if we say only about marine ecosystem, more depending from the climate condition. Because climate condition, for example, precipitation. Precipitation also connected with catchment area and river flow, which coming in the marine ecosystem. And in the last year, for also a very interesting example, in 2022, got help to Ukraine, because very favorable condition for little bit precipitation, a higher temperature, and also military forbid absolutely whole coast, coming anthropogenic loading and marine ecosystem remove. And we recognize increase in one category of ecological status class in 2022. But again, come back in this question connected what we need doing reconstruction, Kakhovka Reservoir, but we say about, discuss in the international level about the climatic problem which coming in our region.
Okay. Is there any question here? So I have another question I want to ask. So here at this conference, there are people from different international organizations. What can the international community do to help right now with the Black Sea coast, with the reservoir? If each of you can sort of think about that, if you had the chance, what would you? Okay, maybe Галина first.
What role the international community come special project which widely implementing the environmental basis approach, because all state ecosystem depending what happening in the catchment area, and now we needed in additional functional for widely implementing this approach. This is real way to recovery, not the land ecosystem also, and marine ecosystem which was suffered from this situation. This is very important. Now we're coming, I say what now, I open the top secret, because some project now is preparing for our region, the ecological budget management, which we are planning implementing in our catchment area for improved situation. And for this also we have the international money for support the activity of Ukrainian scientists and other groups, business groups, and which will be doing and decided this problem for our region.
Okay. So, Anna?
I would like to add that probably at the moment the most important thing to from international community to support Ukrainian army, because we need the liberation of our country. Before liberation we cannot do anything, also with this problem and many others.
Exactly, because everything else will be secondary.
Okay.
We need weapon.
Yes. First we weapon and then we try to...
Okay, but does anyone want to add anything to this question? I accept, obviously. Okay. Yes, Aha. Can you please say who you are?
I'm Peter Beck.
Yeah.
So first I want to apologize for coming late. I had another session I had to go to, and so if you've already answered this question, my apologies. But the question is, given the importance of Kakhovka for irrigation water, what are the prospects for irrigating the lands that previously were irrigated by Kakhovka water, given the absence of the dam? Are you going to be able to provide much irrigation for, I guess it was 500,000 hectares of land? If there are alternatives for that, what are the plans?
Frankly speaking, I don't have clear answers on these questions. To some extent, we may replace these losses because Dnipro River exists, so we may catch some water from Dnipro River, but it will be absolutely not enough. We made calculations of water needs when Kakhovka Reservoir was in operation. And we understood that Dnipro River cannot supply needed waters. But Kakhovka Dam was constructed in 1950s. So before that region lived and used some other approaches. When we are thinking about irrigation agriculture, probably first of all, we have to deliberate this territory, but probably at the moment when we will find solution in water supply, probably we have to pay attention to another sectors of agriculture, for husbandry, because I remember in my childhood, in my village there were a lot of sheep. And after that, everything disappeared. But this sector can be quite effective because it's southern part of Ukraine, huge amount of territory, as a steeper, so feeding area is probably possible. But again, a lot of territories are still mined, so we have to clean, we have to check everything. So we have to do step by step. And regretfully, there is no very quick and very brave solutions which will lead to...
Can I just a follow-up to that question? Because the intakes for the irrigation canals, now the water is far away from the intake, if I'm correct, if I recall correctly, right?
From which canal?
Both. The North Crimean Canal and the Kakhovka Canal.
Yes, but first of all, we have to fill in this canal with water.
Yeah.
And regretfully, it's not possible.
But I mean, is it sort of, in terms of the engineering, because the Dnipro River still flows, but now it's far from the intake for the irrigation canals. Is there a way to...
But the problem not in that it's far away.
Okay.
The problem is not enough water in Dnipro River.
Okay. Okay.
Oksana calculated the supply in cubic meters per second. So it's not enough to provide such amount of water for these needs.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying that we first of all have to make needs assessment.
Yeah. But Oksana, can you comment on how much water in the current situation could theoretically be provided for irrigation? Is that possible?
З точки зору природнього стоку ми не маємо взагалі нічого звідти відбирати. Води хватить тільки для того, щоб підтримувати екологічний нормальний стан для понизя Дніпра. Воду не залишається води для користування. Тому тут ми маємо вибрати. Або ми жертвуємо, скажімо так, екологічним станом і функціонуванням понизям Дніпра, тоді ми можемо, ну це перше питання. Інше те, що в нас рівні води не відповідають тим, які потрібні для того, щоб зрошувальні канали запрацювали. Це треба, я думаю, технічно досить складне питання, яке також потребує своєї оцінки, наскільки можна забезпечити технічно ці зрошувальні канали, ну, на відстані, наприклад, протяжність цих споруд. І ще одним важливим, таким, якщо, наприклад, водосховища буде вирішено, що водосховище не потрібно, повністю втратимо ще й таку галузь, як водний транспорт. Оскільки шлюзи, які знаходяться на Дніпровській станції, вони мають достатньо високі відмітки в скальних породах, тому поглибленню той шлюз не підлягає. Дякую.
Maybe it makes sense to mention also the state of these channels because they are in very bad technical condition and it's very ineffective.
The irrigation canals.
Yes, irrigation canal. I mentioned that I am not sure. I am not expert in this, but I read that its effectiveness it's about 10 or 20%, not more.
Let me just for a second, Peter. Did you get the answer from Oksana? Do you have the? So I can summarize for you then, because it was a very good answer. So. There's not enough water in the Dnipro as it is now to do any irrigation. And I think Oksana said it in a very sort of very clear way. In the present situation, the situation today, you can either have irrigation and sacrifice the Dnipro, or you sacrifice irrigation and you keep the Dnipro.
Like there's ecological ecosystem problem.
Yeah. Exactly. From that point south, and then there's the question of the intakes, and it's a difficult technical question to get the intakes, the canal intakes to the water. I can add one thing because you were saying something about the canal. Isn't it the case that the main pump station for the Kakhovka Canal was already not working before the destruction of the?
Two canals, North Crimean and Kakhovka. One of them was at the level of Kakhovka Reservoir. It's самоточный.
It goes by its own gravity.
Without pumping.
Yeah.
But another canal,
Kakhovka
used pumping system.
But the pumping station in the Kakhovka Canal, I had read in the Ukrainian press, was already not working before, I mean, because of the war, but before the destruction of the dam.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I read that in the Ukrainian press, but okay.
I don't know.
So, but Oksana wants to.
Канали працювали, і перший канал Кримський, і Каховський канал. Діло в тому, що Кримський канал подавав воду тільки для України. Для території, скажімо так, Херсонської області, отак правильно буде, для Херсонської області. Далі на окупованій території канал воду не подавав. В Крим, так.
Але ці бандити зразу ж зірвали.
Так, тому коли вороги зайшли на територію України, першим чином вони підірвали ту частину, яка блокувала цю воду, але за рахунок того, що канал довго не працював, вода фактично до Криму не дійшла.
Yeah. And so we've just been discussing this issue of the irrigation canals that have intakes in the reservoir, and they go through left bank, that is to say, the eastern part that is currently occupied. The original purpose of the North Crimean Canal was to bring water to Crimea. That was blocked, you're probably aware of this, from 2014? 2015?
З 2014 року.
14. So, and so the occupiers, one of the first things they did was open that, but no water, water didn't go to Crimea. But now water can't go to Crimea now.
Definitely.
Definitely. Okay. Thank you. Is there any other question? If not, I'm going to ask a question, another one. So even, in the previous session here, but we've also, we've shown a lot of maps, satellite information. And I want to just ask, what is the challenge, or what challenges are there in using remote sensing or satellite information for this sort of environmental monitoring is very important now? And what are the challenges that you feel from using this sort of data, these sorts of techniques?
You mean for using this data?
Yeah, or how to use them. Have you had any challenges?
Probably the most challenge from my perspective that we have not enough land data. Training data, because almost all territory of former reservoir are inaccessible for normal studies, and we were able to collect land data only on 5 quite remote points. So this is the problem, because we need this land data to have normal models and to have reliable data of remote sensing. And also we have a lack of high-resolution images. And now we are working together with our partner, and it's possible to find them, but it's not easy. So this is our challenges in this technique.
When you say high resolution,
yes.
What do you mean? How high resolution?
It's possible to have images up to 30 centimeters
yes.
high resolution. Yes. So now they are inaccessible, not only in this case of Kakhovka Dam, also to other assessment of impact of hostilities to environment.
Okay. Well, I think it's 5:30 now. Natalia, is there any comment or feedback from... Okay, were they? Okay. Ah, okay. Well, good. Okay, well then I think I want to thank our panel who've traveled very far to come here. So thank you very much. And I think we're finished for now. So, but if, yeah. But please.